Sports Talk with Elite Wagers.
Yo, what's happening everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk with Elite Wagers. We're in week 10. Last week was pretty tough one in terms of the betting card. It wasn't too big. There's a lot of football, but split between Premier League and FA Cup action. Difficult to call those FA Cup games. Obviously, everyone wants to win that kind of cup. Huge boxing card, which was really nice to us as well. And that's pretty much it. There was nothing much else going on last weekend. So I've been pretty active over Twitter during the course of the week. A lot of NBA playoffs, MLB, NHL playoffs as well. Obviously some football, Champions League, things like that. And you need to be getting in on the action over on Twitter. I did also run a giveaway, which I will announce the winners in about 1 minute. Ow, smacked my elbow. So for this week, we've got a nice looking card this week. So we've got some football again, Premier League action. Again, not a lot of teams playing for much now. I'll get into that in a little bit. Another large boxing card, which is a huge boxing card. And this one we've got Canelo, we've got Ryan Garcia, we've got Devin Haney, and we've got Lopez as well. So a nice boxing card. And then we've got Formula One Miami as well. So we're over in the States for Formula One. So we've got a nice big betting slate. In terms of fantasy, which I am going to start off with this week, I'm going to flip it upside down this week's episode. I'm going to start with fantasy. Obviously, we've got the EPL Monster for this weekend over on FanTeam. And as part of that, I did a giveaway. I ran a giveaway over on Twitter last week. I did one a few weeks ago, and there was a nice amount of people entering that one. So I decided to run it back. And courtesy of FanTeam and myself, I'm going to be giving away five free tickets to this weekend's EPL Monster contest on FanTeam. So I will be announcing the winners for that in about 2 minutes. I'm going to be doing it live actually as I speak right now. I'm going to be getting the randomized wheel out, and I'm going to be setting the replies to most recent replies. I'll spin the number and then I'll count down the number on my list, and then I'll obviously mention your name on here. If I do mention your name, head over to my Twitter, DM me to claim your prize, and I'll get the prize. I'll get the tickets sent over to your account. So yeah, let's get into it now. Actually, I'll run that down and let's announce those winners.
Fantasy with FanTeam.
Okay, then let the giveaway begin. Spinning the wheel. First number 16. Second number 7, 14, 23, 32. Right, let me go through these. So 16. Is FPL Caesar. Let's write that down. Okay, next one. Number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is Dan L. I'll go through these again in a minute as well. 14. 14 is 7. 23. 23 is Ben Lawrence. And the final one is 32, which is Here We Golf. Okay, so the 5 winners are FPL Caesar, Dan L, 7. 7 goes by Trackstar G, Ben L, and Here We Go Pod. So congratulations on winning the giveaway, you 5. If you could all go to my Twitter, drop me a DM, just basically to claim your prize, and I'll get those free tickets sent over ASAP. So congratulations to all the winners. Again, remember to go to my Twitter to claim your tickets. I will get the tickets sent over ASAP. But continue listening. I'm going to be doing my fantasy breakdown now as well. I'll get some, sort of plans and strategies for this weekend. and things like that. So let's get into this week's EPL Monster over on FanTeam. So the plan for this week, there's obviously a lot of factors that go into this week as well, which I'll explain in a second. But my plan and strategy for this week, I'm going to be targeting positional groups based on matchups. I'm going to be targeting teams that still have things to play for, teams chasing European football. Target those teams who face relegation-bound teams. So if your team's playing against anyone that's already relegated, Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich, target the mismatches, which is a very important one. So sort of top versus bottom, or top offense against weak defense, or vice versa. I'm going to be targeting teams who play weaker sides. So the likes of Man United, Chelsea, Spurs and Arsenal, they're all still in European competitions, may select weaker rotated squads to rest sort of key players, especially the likes of Man United and Arsenal, who are, Arsenal lost their game against PSG, so have it all to play for in France next week. Man United also the same against Bilbao. So yeah, they're sort of what I'm targeting. My plan and strategy for this week is to target those particular areas. So a few things to remember as well for this week. The likes of Liverpool, well, there's no likes of. Liverpool have already won the league, so they could potentially play weaker sides from here on out. They technically don't need to field a team now. But with that being said, some of the Liverpool players are going to be extremely cheap if you do want to take a risk. Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester are all relegated. They've been relegated for a reason. Bear that in mind before you select Aaron Ramsdale as your goalkeeper. That was a joke. Do not do that. I do not recommend you selecting Aaron Ramsdale as your goalkeeper. A few teams as well, Everton, Spurs, of Wolves, they're already safe, can't achieve much this season. They may sort of lack the drive to win. Man United, Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, again, are also in midweek European contests, so they should be in the keyword rest some key players. So let's get into the breakdown for the EPL Monster. I'm going to be starting off with the goalkeeper group, and I'm going to be targeting goalkeepers that are guaranteed to start, obviously, and sort of have a nice matchup. So I'm going to be starting off with some players like Flecken for Brentford, Jordan Pickford or Sells. They're all guaranteed to start. They all have nice matchups. So I'm going to start off with Matt Sells. He's currently ranked as the 5th best goalkeeper this season, averaging 4.3 fantasy points per contest. He's also in good form. He's in the top 10 in terms of form. He has 33 starts, 13 clean sheets, which is really, really good. He leads the Premier League in clean sheets. He averages 3.2 saves per game as well, which he has 108 in total. So he does get the goal peppered a little bit, but he is able to keep those shots out of his net. He has conceded 39, which is around 1 per game, and he has an expected goal against, which is around 1 as well. So 1 goal against per game. But looking down to Sells, he does play Crystal Palace. It's a slightly tricky matchup, but Palace have a bit of bad form, if you like. Obviously they got the good win against Villa the other day, 3-0 in the FA Cup. But again, Forest are the 3rd best defence, allowing the 3rd least amount of goals, where Palace don't really tend to pepper the goal as much, and they don't score too many goals either. So Sells is a good option for your goalkeeper this week. The next option I'm going to go for is Jordan Pickford. I'm a huge fan of Pickford, obviously being an English fan. I think he should be England's number 1, but that's another story for another day. He's ranked as the 8th best goalkeeper this season, and if you think about it, he's the 8th best goalkeeper. And I think at Everton, I think they're about 15th in the league. So he's playing a lot better than his side, if you like. He's reasonably priced this week. He's averaging 4 points per match per contest, and his form as well is slightly better than Sells. He's ranked 6th out of the full 82 goalkeepers. He's got 34 starts, 10 clean sheets. He has 106 saves on the season, which averages, again, same as Sells, 3 per game. He's conceded 41, which is an average of 1.2 per game, and he does also have 2 penalty saves as well, which is a little bit of an added boost. But Sells and Pickford are both in the top 10, in the top 5 for clean sheets. 14 for Sells, 10 for Pickford. But for Pickford, he's got a really, really good matchup. He will play Ipswich. So Ipswich, obviously, already relegated. They've got a poor goal scoring record, 33 goals in 34 games. That's less than 1 per game. Everton are one of the best defences in the league, and get this stat as well. Like I said, Everton are 15th. I think they're 15th in the league. Everton concede the fourth least amount of goals. So if you flip that to the defence, they're the fourth best defence in the league. So that should be a really big struggle for Ipswich, obviously relegation bound. And like I said before, I'm going to be trying to target teams and things that have a lot to play for, and neither of these two teams have much to play for. But I do like Pickford in this spot anyway. And then the final selection I'm going to go for is Mark Flecken for Brentford. His form isn't too good. He's 11th in form, but on the season, 17th out of the 82 goalkeepers, averages 3.4 per match. But the reason I'm going for this is he plays Man United, so he has 33 starts, 5 clean sheets, which isn't too good. He does, however, have the most saves in the league with 133, which is around 4 per game. He's conceded 48, which obviously again isn't good, averaging about 1.5 per game. But playing against Man United, Flecken, again, like I said, most saves in the league. I'm going to be predicting United play a weaker team with obviously the European Cup in midweek. Man United have scored 39 in 34 games, which isn't good enough for United, and that's 1 goal in the last 5 Premier League games. So they're sort of saving themselves in terms of goals for the Europa League. I think they scored about 6 against Lyon in those two games across that tie. So we could potentially see a Mark Flecken clean sheet here, and some good saves as well. So there's my 3 goalkeeper picks for this week. In a similar way to the goalkeepers, I'm going to go for I'm going to be targeting the best matchups for the defenders. Good defense against weak offense, for example. Guaranteed to play lengthy amount of time in those games as well, and just generally have a nice matchup. We may see a double stack with the keeper and defenders in this one. So I'm going to be targeting Branthwaite, Ben White, Munoz as well, Van Dijk, Wan-Bissaka and Milinkovic as well. So they're examples of players who play teams who could potentially play weakened sides, or just generally have a better matchup. So I'm going to be starting off with Milinkovic, which obviously he plays for Forest as well as Sells, so we could see the double stack there. I'm going to go for Milinkovic over sort of Neco Williams or Morello or anything like that. Milinkovic is ranked as the 5th best defender in the league. He averages 4.1 points per game. 32 starts, again, same as Sells, 14 clean sheets, 38 goals conceded, which is around 1 per game. He has got on the end of some crosses. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists as well, but we're not picking him for his goal scoring ability. He has, where is he on my list? He obviously against Palace, tough matchup. Forest have been able to keep a lot of games close, and they concede very few goals. Last 5 head-to-head games as well, all under 2.5 goals. 3 clean sheets for Forest as well. I'm going to say I expect a similar outcome in this game as well for Forest. So I think Milinkovic could be decent. He's also reasonably priced as well, which is surprising. Next one I'm going to go for is a little bit controversial. I'm going to go for Ben White. He's the 50th best defender ranked this season. He's obviously had a lot of injuries. He averages 2.8 points per contest. He's only had 9 starts on the year, again, due to injuries. 4 clean sheets, but just 8 goals conceded, which is under 1. 1 assist as well, but obviously, again, we're not going for these defenders for goal scoring ability or anything like that. But Ben White will play Bournemouth. He should play more, actually, with Arsenal resting place for PSG. He came on late against PSG in the first leg. Arsenal are the 2nd best defensive team in the league, and that's with whoever they start on the field. Bournemouth may struggle for goal opportunities this week. Evanilson's suspension did get overturned, so he will be available. But again, Arsenal, they tend to smother the ball. They like to have a lot of possession, so Bournemouth could struggle to see goals. I think Ben White starts this week, resting Timber, who came off with a bit of a limp. So I think Ben White does get the nod this week. The next one is going to be back in that Palace game, in the Forest game as well. I'm going to go for Daniel Munoz. He's the 11th best defender ranked this season, averaging 3.8 points per game. Like I said, he plays Forest, 33 starts, 10 clean sheets, 42 goals conceded, which was around 1.3 per game. But more recently, he's been very, very attacking. He has 4 goals, 5 assists on the season. he's a solid attacking threat, as well as a good defensive threat. 9 goal contributions, 10 clean sheets. Like I said before, Forest don't tend to blow out teams, so it could be another low-scoring game, as it has been in their head-to-heads recently anyway. Palace did win 5-0 against 3-0 against Villa a few days ago. But, I see this one being a bit closer. I think both teams are going to struggle to score in this one, actually, and I think we could potentially see a 0-0 in this one. So I'm going to go for Munoz as well. Moving on to Jared Branthwaite. Another United target, I may add. I mentioned Cunha last week. Branthwaite this week. He plays Ipswich. As I said, like with Pickford, it could be another double stack here. He's the 44th best ranked defender this season. 2.9 points per game. He's got 25 starts, 8 clean sheets, with 25 goals conceded, which is 1 per game, 1 assist as well in the attacking field. Not much to say about this one. Again, I've already touched on the Everton and Ipswich sort of matchup. Similar to Pickford, one of the best defences against worst offences. Tarkowski is out for Everton, so Branthwaite will be the main man for Everton this week. He's going to lead that back line, and I think he'll do a very, very good job against this Ipswich team, which haven't been renowned for scoring goals, let's put it that way. And then I'm going to take a gamble on my final one. I'm going to go for Van Dijk. I mentioned before, Liverpool have already clinched the title, so they may play sort of rotational players. There's no need for them to play sort of their best players like Van Dijk and Salah and things like that. But I will touch on the Liverpool and Chelsea game in my betting selections later on. I don't see Liverpool just rolling over and letting Chelsea have the win. But anyway, in terms of fantasy, Van Dijk is the 7th best defender, averaging 4 points per contest. Recent form, he's the 5th best defender, ranking 5.4 points per contest. 34 games started, 32 goals conceded. He has 14 clean sheets, so under 1 goal per game conceded as well. 2 goals, 1 assist. I think Van Dijk's a solid option. He's priced extremely low this week, obviously, with them winning the league. Chelsea haven't really scored too many goals recently, and they may rotate the team with them still being in Europe. I just don't see Liverpool rolling over to Everton this week, so I think he does start, and I think Chelsea struggle to score anyway. So I think Van Dijk's going to be a very solid option for fantasy this week. Moving on to the midfielders. I'm going to be targeting midfielders who are in decent scoring form. So I'm going to explain that a little bit more. So the attackers for this week are a little bit slim. There's not too many attackers that stand out to me. So I'm going to be targeting midfielders who are sort of more attacking, and they are in decent attacking form. Targeting players that will play sort of weaker teams or teams who don't have much to play for. I'm going to be looking towards Mbembo, Jared Bowen, sort of the Murphy or Barnes for Newcastle, Matoma, Eze, Mason Mount as well, all solid options with their matchups, in good form, still playing for something this season or playing teams who should play weaker teams. We're going to start off with Brian Mbembo. He's been absolutely top class this season. He's the 2nd best midfielder ranked this season. He averages 6.4 points per contest, 34 starts, 18 goals, 7 assists, which is obviously huge. Expected goals is 0.33, which is 1/3 per game. So that's a goal contribution, 1 in 3 games. 7 clean sheets as well, which is obviously another added stat for him. But yeah, he plays Man United. 10 goal contributions in his last 11 games. Obviously, like I said, 25 in 33 games is exceptional. Man United expect to rotate squad. They have been struggling offensively and defensively all season, so it could potentially be an ideal matchup for Brentford. And like I said, with the Flecken pick, I think Man United will struggle in this game. Obviously, resting a few players as well. I think Brentford can win this game, and I think Mbembo can score in this game as well. I'm going to stay in this game though. I'm going to go with Mason Mount. I mentioned him earlier. He averages just 0.9 points per game. 4 starts on the season, no goal contributions. But the reason I'm going to go for this one is, I keep saying about the rotation for United. He should have a bigger role this week with United resting players. He should get some game time. He should start. He should get a lot of game time. He has played more attacking recently as well. I was at the game against Wolves a few weeks ago. He came on, played attacking. He actually started the game after that, played in an attacking role. So I can see him playing and attacking in the attacking three for Man United this week, and I think he's a good value option and a good sort of outside the box option to try and get a bit of an uptick in his opportunities this week. We'll go for Jared Bowen. Let's talk about Jared Bowen, 6th best midfielder in the league this season, averaging 5.1 points per game, 30 starts, 9 goals, 10 assists, which is really good. 7 clean sheets as well, which adds to that. Jared Bowen, he plays Spurs, 4 contributions in his last 4 games. West Ham have actually found the net in 4 straight games, and Jared Bowen contributed in all 4 games. Spurs have conceded a fair few this season, including 11 in the last 3 Premier League games. So I think all signs point to this one for a West Ham win. Added into that, you've got to factor in the fact that Spurs are still in Europe. They will be playing. They should be playing a little bit of a weaker squad, considering they're still in the European competition as well. Jacob Murphy and Harvey Barnes. Jacob Murphy, 10th best midfielder, averaging 4.8 points per game, 27 starts, 8 goals, 12 assists. Harvey Barnes, on the other hand, 19th ranked midfielder, 4.2 points per match, 13 starts, 9 goals, 5 assists. So both of those solid options. Harvey Barnes has been slightly injury plagued this year. Both are solid options, both in extremely good form recently. Newcastle obviously need wins to solidify their top 3 finish. And these two have been at the heart of Newcastle's goals this year. I don't expect that to sort of slow down against Brighton this year either. And then we're going to stay in that Brighton game as well. And I'm going to go for Matoma. He's the 23rd best midfielder ranked this year. 4.1 fantasy points per game, 28 starts, 13 goal contributions in all Premier League games. Similar for Matoma than it is for Harvey Barnes and Jacob Murphy. 2 goals in 2 games. Brighton also need wins to push for final European spot. Pedro is out through suspension, so Matoma could see more sort of attacking chances in this game. And yeah, I think it's one of those games where it could be sort of tit for tat, and I think Matoma's in a decent little bit of form to be able to bag a goal or 2. And then the final midfielder pick is going to be Eze. He scored 2 world-class goals, one against Arsenal, one against Villa. Unfortunately for him, this season he hasn't been too good. He's only averaging 3.8 fantasy points per contest. He's got 12 goal contributions in 28 games. Again, we touched on this game before. He will play Nottingham Forest, a tough matchup for Eze. Again, scored two worldies against Villa and Arsenal, back-to-back games. He's proven that he is the crucial element for Palace. Mateta is questionable for this game, so Eze and sort of Sarr, they could both play more of an attacking role. Maybe one of those goes up front and tries to bag a goal against Forest, but again, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I just think there's a huge upside for Eze this week. Okay, and then finally, we're going to be moving on to targeting strikers, again, who are in good goal-scoring form, playing weaker defences or rotated teams. Looking towards Wissa, Beto, Vardy and Welbeck being my top targets this week. Starting off with Wissa for Brentford, 5th best forward this season, averaging 5.3 points per match. 29 starts, 15 goals, 5 assists. That's a good goal ratio per game. 20 contributions, 29 games. Expected goals 0.54, so expected a goal every 2 games. Very good form for him so far. Again, Wissa plays Man United, who should rotate a team around. I keep saying it, keep emphasising this fact. Wissa has 7 contributions in his last 8 games. Brentford, quick turnaround from Thursday to Sunday game, but Wissa is still a good option and probably the best option for Brentford to score in this game. Next up, I'm going to go for Danny Welbeck. He's 13th best ranked forward, averaging 4.1 points per match. 21 starts, 13 goal contributions. With him being ranked 13th best striker, that's extremely good considering he's been behind Pedro in Brighton's rotation. He just seems to make most of his chances. He should start as well with Pedro being out through suspension. And yeah, if Brighton are going to score against Newcastle, it's probably going to be Welbeck or Matoma. Next up, Jamie Vardy, 20th best forward this season, 3.3 fantasy points per match, 32 starts and 11 goal contributions. So it isn't too good, but he does have the best matchup this week, playing the worst team in the Premier League in Southampton. Weakest defence in the league as well. Vardy also leaving Leicester at the end of the year, so a bit of a trend, or a bit of a additional reasoning to pick him. He'll want to finish on a high, scoring goals for Leicester. He's always been a solid goal scoring option for Leicester and for England as well. He still has time to get into double figures for goals. He's only 3 away, so I think he can bag 1 or 2 against Southampton this week. And then finally for the strikers, it's going to be Beto for Everton. Again, another good matchup against Ipswich. 23rd best ranked forward, 2.7 points per game. Only has 11 starts, but he has 6 goals in those starts. So he did have a nice stretch of 6 goals in 6 games. He has obviously cooled since. Everton aren't in the best attacking team in the league. Ipswich are one of the worst defensive teams though, so a bit of a mismatch there. Not much to play for either team, but statistically a good matchup for Beto. So, to conclude and to reevaluate the whole situation, all in all, not many decent attacking options with much upside this week. Only a handful of teams have things to play for this season. Only a handful of teams have good matchups in this game as well. So the pool depth isn't as deep this week, but some still solid options all around. So hopefully I shed a bit of information, a bit of insight on some players you wouldn't normally look towards in this week's contest. Good luck to anyone who enters a team in this contest. Good luck to all those who won the free tickets this week as well. Let me know who you're going with in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter as well. I'm available 24/7. I can give you some of my insights and things like that if you need any further assistance as well. But good luck in this week's EPL Monster over on FanTeam.
Football.
Okay, moving on to the football betting slate. We've got some English Premier League action this week. I'm going to be starting off with the early kickoff on Saturday, Villa versus Fulham. Villa had a fantastic run in the FA Cup and the Champions League. Unfortunately, it came up short in both competitions. They lost to Palace in Wembley last weekend, but Palace have been Villa's sort of bogey team. They lost 3-0 and 4-1 in the last 2, and they actually haven't beaten them in 5 straight games. Villa lost just 5 in the last 15 games against Palace twice. Man City and PSG were the other 2 losses. Coincidentally, all were away games. Palace at the FA Cup game was in Wembley. It was classed as an away game, but they did still have to travel down to London. That's obviously where Palace are based in London. Palace were already in London, so technically it was still an away game for them anyway. They've actually made themselves known for making Villa Park a fortress. They've lost 1 in the last 25 home games, again to Palace in October 2024. And they've won 6 straight home games by a margin of 16-5. In the last 10 home games, they've won 8, scoring 2 or more in all but 1 game. Fulham, on the other hand, they've won 4 in the last 10. Been streaky, inconsistent. They've won just 1 in the last 5 away games as well, which was against Southampton, who were relegated. Villa, a clear step up in class. Both similar in the table, but Villa do have more to play for with the Champions League on the line. A win here will actually tie them with Chelsea on 60 points. Fulham also fighting for a final European spot, just 6 points off Villa. But with Villa out of all the cups now, they can turn their full attention to the league and their league placement. They should be fairly comfortable in this game, having beaten Fulham in 5 straight games by a margin of 11-3. I always say never back the early kickoff, but this one does seem a little bit like bait. But I'll happily take the Villains to do the job at home. So I'm going to go for Aston Villa moneyline at -125. Next game I'm going to be talking about is Brighton and Newcastle. I've been high on Brighton all season. Hugely undervalued team. They sort of fly under the radar a lot of the time, but they do collect points against good teams. But recent form is not good. They've won 3 of the last 10, which were against Bournemouth, Fulham and West Ham. Newcastle, on the other hand, have been a lot better. offense is really good, defense is really good. They've scored 65, which is the third most, and they've conceded 44, which is the eighth least. Recent form is also very good for Newcastle. They've lost 2 in the last 10, which were against Liverpool and Villa, who are 2 top teams. They've lost 3 in the last 10 away games, again to Villa and Liverpool, and also to Man City. Newcastle are facing some heavy pressure from Man City, Chelsea, Forest, and even Villa in the Champions League placement. They need to end strongly with some wins. They haven't beaten Brighton in 4 straight games, but they are about due to take an away win and solidify that top 4 placement. So I'm actually going to go with Newcastle draw no bet at -125. I think it's very, very nicely priced and playable at -125. And I'm going to go to the Chelsea and Liverpool game. I said I'd be back to this game. So far I've gone for games where there's a lot to play for either team. Liverpool have won the league already. Technically don't even have to field the team for the remainder of the season. Chelsea's still in contention for a top 3 finish. So technically there's only Chelsea with something to play for. They're in good form, a lot better than the start of the year. They've lost just 2 in the last 10, which are against Arsenal and Liga in Europe. At home, even better. They've lost just 1 in the last 10, but did draw against Ipswich and Bournemouth, so they dropped points there. Liverpool, however, best team in England, scored the most, 80, which is 2 on average, over 2 on average. Conceded the second least amount of goals, which is 32, averaging around 1 per game. Outside of their cup games, Liverpool have actually lost just 2 games in the Premier League all season, which were against Fulham and Forest. With Liverpool already winning the league, Chelsea still in Europe, it could be a good opportunity to rotate a squad a little for Chelsea for their European tie. But I just don't see Liverpool rolling over just because they've already won. Especially not to a rival team like Chelsea. Taking anything away from Chelsea will be a win for Liverpool. Chelsea winless against Liverpool in the last 10 straight games. So I'm going to go for Liverpool draw no bet. That's at +125. I just don't think Liverpool roll over in this game. The final game of the weekend for me is going to be on Monday night, and that's going to be Palace against Forest. So Palace obviously grabbed that really, really good win against Villa. 3-0 win in the FA Cup semi-final to get them into the final. Aside from that, they've not been good. They've won 5 of the last 10, but those 5 wins were against Millwall, Ipswich, Fulham, Villa and Brighton. So Millwall and Ipswich both very, very lower league. Forest will be obviously a tougher test, especially when they've conceded more than they've scored. Palace have struggled to score. They've struggled to keep clean sheets as well. Forest, on the other hand, have been renowned for keeping games close and not being blown out in losses. They've lost 3 of the last 10, which were against City, Everton and Villa. So City and Villa, obviously 2 very good teams. Everton, one of the best defensive teams. Palace, pretty much done for the year. Mateta is questionable to play. Obviously, he had his face injury a couple of weeks ago. They may shut him down for the season to risk, any other further injury for him. Forest have a lot more to play for, a lot more on the line. They're in a good position for Champions League, fending off pressure from Newcastle, Chelsea, City and Villa for a top 3 placement. Palace winless against Forest in 9 straight, and with Palace's form and Forest's knack for keeping games very close, I'd expect Forest to give everything in this game to stay in Champions League contention. So I'm going to go for Forest draw no bet at +110 as well. Okay, going to head over to some boxing. I mentioned the heavy boxing slate we've got this weekend. The likes of Ryan Garcia, Lopez, Haney, Canelo all fighting. I'm not playing everything on this card, but I do have 3 solid plays that I'm going to talk about now. I'm going to start with Ryan Garcia versus Rolando Romero. Garcia is looking to make another statement following his upset win over Haney. That was overturned and later changed to a no contest following Garcia's positive test for the banned substance. Garcia takes on a fellow power puncher in Romero, and it should be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. Both men lean on their knockout power. Garcia's speed, I think, will be the difference in this fight, especially against Romero's subpar defense. So Garcia's got 24 wins, with 20 being by knockout. Of those 20 knockout wins, 17 have been in under 7 rounds. Similar to Garcia, Romero also lost to Tank Davis as well by TKO inside 7 rounds. So fairly simply, I think I'm going to go with 2 units on Garcia to win by TKO /knockout/disqualification and under 7.5 rounds at minus 147. Next up, I'm going to go straight to that title fight in Lopez against Barbosa Jr. Both fighters have very well-rounded skill sets, great durability, which should carry this fight to the bell. Lopez faced heavier, higher level competition during his career. He is a former undisputed lightweight champion as well. He has the edge in power and an edge in speed. I believe that'll be the sort of X factor in this fight. I don't see where Barbosa gives Lopez trouble. I don't think he gets shocked in this one. And Lopez has sort of seen it all before. Lopez has 21 wins, 13 by knockout. In his most recent 9 fights, only 2 have been inside the distance. 6 of 9 by decision, 4 straight by decision. Barbosa, he hasn't been finished yet. 21 of his 32 fights have gone to the distance as well, including 9 straight. Lopez has too much speed and power, shouldn't get rocked by Barbosa in this one. I'm expecting like a calculated win for Lopez. So I'm going to go for Lopez by decision at minus 115. And then to the final fight for me this weekend, Canelo versus Skull. Fairly simply in this one, Canelo is one of the most intelligent fighters we've ever seen. Skull only had 5 12-round fights in his career. 62 wins for Canelo, 39 by knockout. 6 straight fights have gone to the judges' scorecards for Canelo. 5 of those were won by Canelo, all unanimous decisions. Doesn't seem to be anyone sort of close to Canelo's level in this division just yet. Looks to be using sort of recent fights as conditioning training. They haven't really tested him too much. He's sort of just been, doing enough to win and just sort of cruising to those wins. He does look likely to knock out Skull with his knockout power. He is by far the better fighter with his recent fights all going the distance. It looks as if he's taken this fight to sort of get back to the knockout fights and knockout ways. I think he does get it done within 10 rounds. So I'm going to go for 1 unit on Canelo moneyline and under 10.5 rounds at minus 115.
Formula 1.
Okay, then over to Formula 1. This weekend we head to Miami. This will actually only be the 4th race on this track. And it has actually proven to be a tricky track for the sort of the newer drivers. And obviously this year we've got a lot of rookies on the paddock this year. In the first 2 races in Miami, Lando actually finished in 17th and did not finish in his first ever race here, showcasing that rookies will have a tougher time, especially when they've never got to race here before. Lando actually won this race last year. Oscar has not yet picked up points on this track, so even though McLaren have been fairly solid to start the year, it could be a bit of a bogey track for Oscar and for Lando actually. Consistently, Max has been at the top on this track with 2 wins and a 2nd place in his first 3 races. Obviously, he's looking to continue that this weekend. He looked more comfortable last weekend. He qualified first, finished in 2nd. To be honest, he's looked good in most races. Obviously, beginning of the season, he reported a lot of issues with his car, but he has, in terms of form, he's been fairly good. McLaren obviously on top right now, but it seems to be Max who is the closest rival to sort of derail the McLarens. In terms of qualifying this season, we've only had 1 sprint so far. And in that one Max finished 2nd, but in total qualifying sessions, Max has got 4 top 3 qualifying results in 6 races in total. I'm gonna expect a similar result here. He's obviously a vet. He's classed as a veteran driver now, especially on this track. He's raced it. Well, it will be his 4th time racing. As I said, 2 wins and a 2nd place. Very, very comfortable here. So I'm going to go for Max to be in the top 3 for sprint qualifying. He can put in a fast lap whenever he wants. I think this is a track he's going to try and derail the McLaren. So Max top 3 for qualifying in sprint race is at minus 115. In addition to that, I think Max can continue that sprint qualifying result into the race result. He's got 4 podiums in 6 race events this season. Again, as mentioned, McLaren are top team, hard to derail, and hard for any sort of team to muster up a plan to try and take these 2 out. And with that being said, it's it's really hard to pick a driver for McLaren which is going to be the successor and which one's going to succeed, basically. Oscar, as I said, yet to win points on this track, but Lando did win last year. McLaren have won 4 out of 5 races so far this year, obviously Max being the other winner. In that race that Max did win, both McLarens finished second and third, so they've been right up there the whole time, all season. I think we see some more dominance this week from all 3 drivers, so I'm going to go for a little same game parlay. McLaren to win and Verstappen podium at plus 110. The next one is a little bit of a strange one, but it is widely available, and it's going to be the number of classified drivers, and the line is set at 18.5, which is pretty crazy to me. 18 or less drivers to finish in this race is at plus money, which is very, very intriguing. This means we basically need 2 did not finish for this race, and for this to cash, which is very, very reasonable. In fact, there's been 18 or less classified drivers in 4 out of the 5 races so far this season. As I said, Miami can be quite a tricky track, especially for rookie drivers. And again, we've got 6 rookie drivers on the paddock this year, so it wouldn't take too much for one of those to hit a wall. Of the 3 Miami races so far, only 1 has had under 18 finishes, but they've been very, very cautious around this track for numerous years now. Basically hoping for a little bit of a bit of bad luck for a back marker or 2 in this race. So I'm going to go for under 18.5 classified drivers. That's plus 150. And then the final bet for the weekend is going to be it's going to favour the Ferraris. They haven't had the best start. I definitely expected more with Lewis joining Ferrari. Only success so far has been Lewis's sprint race win in China. Obviously Shah did get a podium last weekend as well. And in fact, in the last 3 races, Shah has finished inside the top 6 with a podium last weekend. Lewis has been the one that struggled. He struggled a lot more. He's finished 7th a few times, along with a 5th place finish in Bahrain. He's had a 10th, and he's been down the pecking order a little bit. This one basically depends on Shah to continue his good work. As I said, last 3 races been in the top 6, so if he can continue that'll make this less stressful. For the other side of the bet, I think it's Lewis. And I think it's Lewis versus Antonelli for top 6. Antonelli's been very, very good so far. I've been quite high on him. If you've listened to the podcast before, you'd have heard me mention Antonelli's name quite a bit. But I'm going to go back Lewis in this one to reach the top 6. As I've mentioned again, the track is a very tough track to drive. Antonelli will only have 1 practice session before getting thrown into sprint qualifying. I think that's going to play into Lewis's hands a lot, and I think both Ferraris will finish inside the top 6 for the race. So Ferrari double top 6 finish at plus 100, and that's sort of the whole betting card done. I'll run down the betting card, and then we'll get into the weekend long parlay. So in total, all weekend I've got 11 bets this weekend. Aston Villa moneyline minus 125, Newcastle draw no bet at minus 125, Liverpool draw no bet plus 125, Nottingham Forest draw no bet plus 110, 2 units on Ryan Garcia to win by TKO/KO/disqualification and under 7.5 rounds at minus 146, Lopez by decision minus 115, Canelo moneyline and under 10.5 rounds at minus 115, Verstappen top 3 qualifying in the sprint at minus 115, McLaren to win and Verstappen podium at plus 110, under 18.5 classified drivers at plus 150, and then Ferrari double top 6 finish at plus 100.
Elite Wagers Weekend Parlay.
Okay, the weekend long parlay. For those of you that are new and don't listen this long into the episode, I do like to put together a 5-leg parlay for the weekend. Basically, the point of this is to just get you into watching some new sports, or I myself, I tend to just chill on the weekends, and I like to watch a load of different sports. And obviously, there's a lot of sports on at the moment with baseball and basketball, hockey, boxing, football, everything, Formula 1. You name it, it's on. So I've put together a 5-leg parlay which consists of 5 different sports from across the weekend. So the first leg for this is going to be in the NHL, and it's going to be Jets and Blues over 3.5. Jets and Blues play out. They've played out a solid series so far. It's been really, really fun to watch. 4 goals has been scored in 3 straight games and 4 out of 5 so far. It's a must-win game for the Blues, who face elimination. They have scored 3, 1, 7, 5 and 3 in their 5 games. So goals for them shouldn't and haven't been an issue so far. Similarly, the Jets will want to close it out in this game. A goal or 2 for both teams can cash this leg. I think it cashes pretty easily. Next leg is going to be Garcia by TKO/KO. As mentioned in the breakdown for his fight before, I think Garcia should get the KO. His pace and power should prove to be too much to handle for Romero. 24 wins, 20 by knockout, 17 of those 20 knockouts in 7 rounds or less. I expect similar in this fight. The next leg is going to be my Cleveland Cavaliers moneyline. They dominated the Heat. They've ranked as number 1 offense and scored 121 or more points in all 4 games against Miami, proving that they are really, really tough to stop. Pacers also had a nice series, scoring 117 or more in 4 out of 5. But Cavs have been dominant at home. They've lost 5 in the last 20. Obviously, they need a hot start in this series to continue their momentum. And the Pacers did recently drop an away game against the Bucks as well. So, I think the Cavs can get the game 1 win at home. Next leg is Liverpool to score. As mentioned earlier as well, I don't see Liverpool rolling over and letting Chelsea win or even have a point. Liverpool have the best offense in the league, the best attacker in Salah. I think that should continue regardless of who starts or for how long they all start for. Chelsea have been dominated by Liverpool, not winning in the last 10 games, and obviously to win games you need to score goals. So Liverpool to score, and then the final leg of the weekend will be in the Formula 1 in Miami. McLaren to win. McLaren are the hot team. Really difficult to beat. Won 4 out of 5 races so far, leading the constructors by a lot of points. Lando was a winner here last year, and in my opinion there's only really Max to contend with the pace of McLaren so far this season. So I think McLaren will get the win. So run down on those again. Jets and Blues over 3.5 goals. Garcia by TKO/KO. Cavs money line, Liverpool to score, and McLaren to win, and that's going to be plus 280. So not as high as last week or the week before, but I think this one cashes pretty easily. So that's it. That's this episode all wrapped up. For some reason, these episodes have been really, really long recently, so I apologise if I do get a bit jarring. But it's been a good one in my opinion. It's been a good one. Congratulations to those 5 winners. I hope I was able to share some insights on fantasy this week and obviously on the betting slate as well. So good luck to everyone who is involved in some sort of betting this weekend or in fantasy this weekend. Don't be afraid to drop me some comments or drop me some follows and some likes and subscribes and all sorts. The link to all my social medias will be in the description. You click the link tree and you'll see all my forms of social media on there. If you can head over, drop me a like, a follow, give me a little subscribe, share. The more likes, subscribes, shares, follows, everything that I get, it allows me to help more and more people win more money. So help me, help everyone else. Appreciate everyone for listening so long. Good luck on everyone on the weekend, and I'll catch you later.